Hello and welcome to the Amped EV podcast. My name is David. I am your host, and today I am amped to be speaking with our guest. He is the CEO and co-founder of Paired Power, Tom McCalmont. Let's get to the interview. Tom, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really appreciate your time. I want to dive right in and ask, if I'm a fleet manager and I'm looking to electrify my fleet, maybe I've got gas or diesel powered vehicles that I'm looking over and I want to convert those to electric. What are the first steps there? What do I need to know to really get started with that?
Well, it's a great question, David, and good morning. Conversion of fleets there's a huge amount of interest, as you might imagine, in converting fleets to electric vehicles, but there are some challenges. And a lot of fleets in America, and there's thousands of them, are fueled at the location where that fleet originates, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a gas tank or a diesel tank in the back of the lot. That's the fuel source today. But that location doesn't have enough electrical service to convert that fleet to fully electric. And so that's one of the big challenges is how do I get enough electricity to the location where the fleet vehicles are parked that I can actually turn the fleet into electric vehicles? And that leads us to a whole set of challenges that go along with how do I get that amount of electricity there. And if you're interested, we can talk about some of that.
Yeah,
but
please do.
It's challenges with the utility, the service capacity. What's called the service is how much electricity does the utility deliver to that structure, to that building or that parking lot. That service capacity is probably not going to be enough for the electric vehicles. And so your choices are basically getting a new service or living within the constraints of that service capacity that's already there, which is the solution that we offer. We give our customers the ability to do that. But if you have to get a new service, it's a big undertaking. It involves long delays with the utility. They have to go engineer and permit and approve this. In California today, where I am, the major utilities, it's about a 2-year wait. So if you go to them and say, I want a new service capacity for electric vehicles, they'll tell you it's about a 2-year wait. Then you have the equipment challenges. And transformers are in high demand all over the country right now because of so many solar projects and wind projects that are coming online. Mm-hmm. So the wait for transformers is also about 2 years. And so it can be a multi-year experience just to get that service capacity that you need to electrify the fleet.
Man. And how would a fleet owner even know what capacity they're looking for?
Well, typically they would start with maybe start to reach out either to the utility or their local building department, try to understand what the requirements are going to be. But what a lot of people don't realize is electric vehicles are actually a pretty heavy load. Typical level 2 chargers are about 6 kilowatts, 6,000 watts. That's a much bigger load than most of the other kinds of electrical loads that we're familiar with in kind of day-to-day life. So if you add 20 of those or 50 of those to electrify a fleet, it can be hundreds of kilowatts of new electrical load. It's not a simple challenge.
So. Sure. So your charger, PairTree, I'm kind of fascinated by what you've been able to do with this. It is solar power coupled with energy storage, trying to help, lessen those limitations that, some of those limitations that you've described by fleets. What makes this such a comfortable, good solution for a lot of fleets out there?
Yeah, so great question. So we thought a lot about these challenges. And so what we deliver to our customers, we call it microgrid EV charging. So it is a microgrid. A microgrid is a smaller version of the grid that combines energy sources into one package. And so in our case, we're combining solar energy. We're storing that energy into a battery. We're able to take capacity from the grid as well and combine both of those to serve the loads that we're, and in our case, the loads are the vehicles that we're charging. And so what that enables us to do is to use just whatever capacity is available from the grid, not requiring a brand new service like I talked about earlier. So it helps to simplify that challenge of I need capacity for EVs, but I don't have enough. but we'll make use of whatever's available there to allow them to electrify for fleets.
Gotcha. And so, in your marketing, you describe that you can set this system up in about a day. Now that's truly amazing to me. How are you able to accomplish such a task? Because as you said, in some cases it can take up to 2 years when working with your utility to actually, get that ball rolling to the point where you can actually electrify your fleet. So to be able to do something like that in a much shorter time is incredible.
Well, so we thought about it. It's interesting how this evolved. I've been working in the solar industry for 24 years, so I have a lot of experience with solar. And over the last 10 or 12 years, solar has gotten dramatically cheaper. The public is generally aware of that. But the one type of solar that has not gotten dramatically cheaper are solar carports, or what I call canopies. And the reason they haven't, if you think about sort of a traditional canopy, and you've probably seen these out in the wild, they have a massive foundation, steel and concrete going into the ground. They build a big superstructure from that foundation. And then the panels are overhead, maybe 11 or 12 feet in the air. So the workers have to go up on a lift, put a panel into place. The lift goes back down, rolls over a few feet, goes back up. They put that next panel in place. So it's a very labor-intensive process to construct the actual overhead canopy. And so it's slow. And so we thought about that problem it actually started during the pandemic. We thought we need something innovative we can do while we're all hunkered down. And so the PairTree has a ballasted foundation. It has light attachment. It can be attached to the ground with ground screws, but it's not a massive foundation like you would do in a traditional canopy. And then the structure itself is collapsed. It's got an X shape, and so it's collapsed into a lower position. So you do all the work of putting the panels in, wiring the array, assembling the structure. You can do all that standing on the ground. You don't have to be on a lift going up and down all day. And then once that is completed, the structure itself can be raised. And so it's popped up into its final position. So all of that can be accomplished in one day with 2 workers. It's a very straightforward process, very quick and easy to do. It doesn't require, I don't need a crane, I don't need a forklift, I don't need any heavy equipment, just regular tools. The only thing we need is a pallet jack to help us move the batteries in place. But pallet jacks are common and easily available, so it's not a big lift.
Wow.
So that's what we innovated, and it allows us to deploy these chargers quickly in all kinds of situations.
And is this recommended for light duty fleets? Is it okay for heavy duty? Kind of where does that land?
Yes, we're focused on light duty fleets today, and applications like I talked about where the grid is available but limited. PairTree is designed so that it can be cascaded. You can put multiple units side by side. They're designed to fit together in a way in a traditional parking lot where every other space is occupied by a base. So it fits the sort of geometry of an existing parking lot. And we're working on solutions that'll take that kind of to the next level as well for even bigger fleets. But today we're primarily focused on light duty and medium duty fleets.
Now, I find it incredible that you are able to accomplish this in one day, but maybe I'm no expert here, so maybe I'm over-exaggerating how important this is. In your experience in working with these fleets, how important is that speed factor to them? Is that kind of at the top of their list? Where does that tend to land for them?
Yeah, so it is important, and it's important in 2 ways. So traditional canopies, traditional carports, one of the things that customers really object to is their parking lot gets torn up for weeks or months. It's a long process just for the construction, and so if that's a heavily used parking lot, it's actually a severe problem. They can't use the parking lot during the construction period. So we solve that problem of your parking lot. We can do this on a weekend, right? If that's important, your parking lot's not going to be disrupted. But the other major benefit of speed is what I talked about earlier, avoiding that 2 or 3 or 4 year wait to do a traditional construction project, not only the construction part of that, but all of the permits, approvals, equipment purchases, service expansion, all of that takes a lot of time. And so one of the values we deliver to customers is just the value of time, just the ability to speed that project up and do it in a few months as opposed to a few years. So.
Sure. Well, what if I'm operating my fleet in an area that might not get, as much sun as, somewhere like California? Is this still a good solution?
It is, yeah. And what's interesting about solar, and a lot of people don't realize, most of the U.S. is actually very sunny. For in the early days of the solar industry, Germany was the number one market. It's not quite the number one market any longer, but it was for many years. And Germany is far less sunny than the United States is. Just as a first point, the U.S. is pretty good. But beyond that, because we're combining energy sources, that allows us the flexibility to really take advantage. So if there's a cloudy day, we have the ability, we can store energy in the battery, we can draw energy from the grid, combine that energy, still deliver what most vehicles need, even if there's not much sun that day. We have very intelligent software in our system. It uses machine learning to analyze the situation. And so we're looking at things like weather patterns or historical patterns of weather. What might it be like tomorrow? What might it be like a week from now? So that we can anticipate that and store energy when we need to, or think about the routes the vehicles have to go on, all of those characteristics, and think about doing that in a way that gives them exactly what they need for that route.
Got it. And does your team help, if I want to electrify my fleet, but I really don't know, based on where I'm living, how much sun I'm going to be getting, how much energy can be drawn from those solar panels? Can your team, help that fleet manager determine, okay, you're going to need, this many PairTrees set up in order to achieve the energy that you need?
Absolutely. We have a modeling tool. We'll do the modeling for the customer. We have tons of experience modeling solar, and there are a lot of good modeling tools for solar anyway, just in general. They take into account anticipated solar resource at that location, at that zip code. They take into account historical patterns. People who work in the solar industry are familiar with something known as the 8760. Most people don't know what that means. That's the number of hours in a year. 8,760 are the number of hours in a year. And so the solar analysis will take into account what's my projected solar availability at every one of those hours. And so then I can model based on that. I'm in Ohio or Michigan or someplace where maybe in the winter it's cloudy. I can model, well, what's that available resource going to be at that location? And then we'll also look at vehicle patterns. What's their traditional route distances? How far do they typically go every day? A lot of fleet vehicles don't really travel a huge number of miles every day. They may only go 40 or 60 miles. And so that's easy to estimate. Well, how much energy is that going to need to make sure those vehicles are adequately fueled? And so we take all that into account and develop a model, and we know what will work for that customer, as well as the grid power, what's available there and how much can we use. Grid power also varies. If we're using that existing building service, maybe in the day it's heavily utilized, but maybe at night it's not. And so there might be a lot of extra energy at night that we can use to recharge the batteries. So.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's say I'm on the fence. I think I want to electrify my fleet. What you're offering, it seems like a great option, but I'm just not sure. What is your kind of number one tip for a fleet that might be in that position as far as giving them advice as to whether or not it's going to be a good idea for them to electrify their fleet in the long run?
Well, I think number one is just for them to become more knowledgeable, and we can certainly help with that. We can help educate. A lot of people don't understand energy very well. You're probably familiar with this. I smile because we talk about kilowatts and kilowatt hours. Most people think those are the same thing. They don't realize one is energy and one is power. And so bringing that knowledge to the discussion really helps people. We can help educate them. The difference between kilowatts and kilowatt hours is like the difference between miles per gallon and horsepower on a gas car. There are two different measures of two different things. And we can help them understand this is what you need in terms of power, and this is what you need in terms of energy to be able to solve that problem. So I think that's maybe the first place to start. Once they're more educated, they can start to think about make good decisions about solutions that will make sense at that location.
Fantastic. Well, Tom, thank you so much for your time here today. This has been really great, and I really look forward to seeing how Paired Power evolves, over the next few years as your business gets bigger and better.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciated the opportunity to talk with you this morning. It's really been a bit of joy.
Likewise. Well, take care. Okay, that was fantastic. So electrifying your fleet, it's going to be a challenge no matter who you are, no matter where you are operating, but it's nice to know that there are options out there. Thank you for joining us. Take care.